Okay, let's assume that sometimes you go to a website looking for data. Maybe you go there on a regular basis, maybe even a daily basis. Here's a stock program that I've got that will produce some stock data. If you provide two inputs, the stock is the S variable and whatever today's date is the D variable. And it will produce 5 pieces of data in this example. The stock name, the date, the price, the volume, and the PE ratio. You see those all listed here. Now if you don't know what a PE ratio is, that's fine. All you have to do is pay more money to take a different course and learn about it, or obviously you could join the Wall Street Club. Now I've got a list of stocks here in a file called stocklist.txt. It's got 6 stocks. But let's start with the shell program, getstock.sh. I have an in file called stocklist.txt. That's the file I just referred to. And I'm looking for an out file, but instead of calling it out file, I happen to be calling it SQL file because it's going to have a name of stockinfo.sql. If you don't know what SQL is, guess what? You have to pay more money and take another course. Now, the first thing it's going to do is check to see that the in file exists and is readable. That's what the -R tells me there. And it says if it's not, that's the exclamation point, then you need a file, whatever that name is, in file, of stock symbols, and the program exits and it's all done. Now, in the event the SQL file exists, then I want to remove that file. The reason why is I want to get rid of whatever is there, but I do want to touch that file, that is to say create it, so that then the SQL file exists and I can append it. And then I've got a while statement, while read line do until done, and it's going to get the information from the $in file. It's going to read line by line. What's it going to do? It's going to run a PHP program called getstock.php, taking that line variable found here into there, the $line, as a parameter, as an argument of the PHP file. Let's take a look at what I mean. A PHP file is going to begin with a less-than symbol $PHP, and it's going to end with a greater than symbol. And all the PHP is a separate language. We got to learn. It's got a few particulars, like ending with a semicolon every thought, and all variables begin with a $sign. So in this case, the SQL file that I had referred to earlier, I'm now running in a PHP file, stockinfo.sql. And then I have this little if then else. So if ARGC is greater than 1, then that means you've given me the count of the arguments is greater than 1, so it's going to say S equals, that is $S equals, $ARGV sub 1, that's bracket 1 bracket, all thoughts in PHP end with a semicolon. So it's saying if the count of arguments is greater than 1, then it will take argument number 1 and put it as stock. The reason for greater than 1 is because you actually have PHP, the stock, the PHP file, and then you have the argument. Anyway, if it doesn't, it'll exit. Notice it exits without an error message of any kind, so it's just a silent exit. Now, if we take today's date, it's going to be equal to the 4-digit year, 2-digit month, and 2-digit day, and then the URL is going to equal that Wall Street Club website / price.php, but it's going to have the S is going to equal whatever the stock is, and the D is going to equal whatever today is. And the next thing it does, it says file get contents of that URL. So whatever that URL is, it's going to change every day and based on every stock, and it's going to load that into a variable called file. Now it's also going to create a new file. Notice the F open, that's file open. It's going to open the SQL file listed way up above here, stockinfo.sql, and it's going to A for append. Now, I don't have to do this except for later on I'll want to. The ARR explode by commas. We saw that the data was separated by commas, so I'm going to separate it into an array, whatever that file is. And because I know I have 5 elements, I'm going to have array 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I created a variable called $SQL that equals those, and the /n is just a new line. I can then write it to that file and close that file. So what we can see here is when we run that file off the website, we see that data. But when we grab the data and put it into stockinfo.sql, I just see 5 lines because I put those new lines after every one, and it puts the data there. That's not really what I want, though. What I really want is to write an SQL statement, which begins with insert into stock info, and those variable names are the field names, values, and then I'm changing a couple of things. I put a dot equals here because previously I didn't have an SQL line. Now I have an SQL line here, so I'm going to do a dot equals and add to it all these things. But I'm really not going to just do that. I'm going to change this to be a quote and the variable and a close quote comma. So when I run PHP with the getStock.php with the argument GE, we see that it put into it insert into stock info and those field names, values, and all the variables, the same data that I got from this line right here on the website. But that's only if I'm doing one stock. I want to do more than one, obviously. So when I run the getStock.sh, see, in this case I actually get an error message. One of them has no data. I don't know why. They just happen to not have any data, but I need to plan for that. So I'm going to go back, and after I explode this array, I'm going to say if count of the array is equal to 5, then I'm going to do this stuff right here. So not every single time, just then. So now when I run the getStock.sh, it does in fact give me all that data. Although it looks a little sloppy, it's all kind of slurred together. And obvious question, would do a bunch of insert statements. What are you going to do with them? Well, you have to pay more money and take a different course to find out. So what I'm going to do here, though, is after I've done that, I'm going to write a second line, the PHP underscore EOL. EOL is an end of line marker. So that way, it'll look a little neater and tidier when I run this program. So I've got, in this case, 5. I had 6 stocks, but only 5 of them are showing up because one of them had no data. Now, that's great to run that, but what I want to do is schedule the job so I don't have to think about it. I want it to run every single day. So I'm going to use a program called Cron that looks at a bunch of Crontab files. And the way that works is you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 possibilities to define when the file is going to be run, and then we have the script of what that shell script is going to be. The asterisk matches anything. So the first one refers to the minute of the day, the next one is the hour of the day, and then the day of the month of the year, and the day of the week. So some examples. 0, 5, 17, star, star, star is going to run a script at 5 a.m. and at 5 p.m. because 17 is, of course, 17th hour of the day at 5 p.m. Running every minute, of course, would be 5 stars there, 5 asterisks. In this case, this cron can be used at the minute 0 of hour 17, so it's 5 p.m., but only on Sundays. Those are just some examples. You can Google lots more. Now, the first time you run Crontab -E, you're going to edit the Crontab, but I didn't have an editor, so I chose Nano to be my editor. And I have some comments here, but what I can see is in the 15th minute of the 20th hour, so that's 8:15 p.m. every day. It's going to run the getstock.sh program. And once I've finished installing that new Crontab, once I've saved it, you can see that I can do actually Crontab -L, which will list out my Crontab. And that's going to run 8:15 every day until I change things.